Right, are we nearly good to go? I can't lie, I almost need another wee again.
Shall we both quickly go for a piss break? Because I'm kind of on the
You're the cuss.
quit.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Halo Rants. We are on Halo Rants number 4 now, which is crazy to me. It feels like we only started this yesterday. Yeah, so we're going to be finishing up ODST today. I guess we might do a firefight mission afterwards. We'll see how long this takes. It probably won't take long. It's only the one mission. But yeah, I'm George. Bailey's about listening to me do the
I'm here.
brilliant intro as usual.
This man's better than me.
But yeah, we're going to talk some Halo as we always do. But yeah, I guess the first thing to do is to start the game, Bailey.
Start the mission. Yes. I could have started at mid you chatting away, and then we have Buck and Dare bitching in the background.
Oh, but then we get to see a lovely cutscene of two people who are desperately in love, but they can't be together.
Reminds me of what was that for?
Yeah, that punch gets across the love.
Yeah, clearly.
Dropped off the grid. My squad was scattered.
Yeah, I don't really know what we're going to get into this episode. Probably have a chat about Infinite. Probably have a whinge about Infinite because, let's be honest, we've been a little bit unhappy.
I think that at some point in this video we'll whinge about Halo 5. We always do. It's a standard.
Common
It's a
theme.
standard. We're only 4 episodes
You
in,
did good, rookie.
and it's already a standard.
Pretty much, yeah.
Not
But
out of this yet.
yeah, I guess what's happened recently, you've had the info dump from R343. We did do a little video about that, so be sure to check that out when you're not watching
I'll
this.
stay with the asset, keep it close cover.
But yeah, that's definitely raised a couple of eyebrows, should we say, within the community, hasn't it?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely one of them things. I'm glad they've been open about it, and they've said they're not tried to pull like a. Yeah, it might be. You know, they're not doing that. They've said straight up, it's not in at launch.
Well, you talk about dual wielding and elites and stuff.
Yeah, like with the things that they said would be in like the elites and dual wielding, and like they're not being cryptic with stuff. They are being fairly transparent, which is it's refreshing. I'd say.
You can give them
especially in this
props for
industry
that.
at the moment.
Well, not only in the industry, but I feel like 343 have really learned from their previous mistakes with sort of somewhat dubious marketing, shall we say. Like, as I'm sure we talked about last episode, the whole Hunt the Truth, Halo 5, like, they've done some shady things in the past, it looks like, for their games, or things that you think would happen in their games, and they just didn't. So, props to them for that. But, and again, we did make a video on this, so we don't really want to delve too much into the elites and dual wielding, but they are two features that should be in the game, which are now confirmed.
It's nice having these fairly regular and consistent Q&As, and also the monthly kind of updates. It's a very good kind of thing that's going on with Infinite.
Oh, 100%.
But it does all, like, some of the things that have been revealed are they can lead to concern. I think justifiable concern.
Yeah.
About are they actually listening? You know, like Halo 5 got so much backlash with not having classic weapons in there, and like the Spanker rework and all of that. And
but they continue to do it anyway.
But and like they got backlash from it, and they said, "Yeah, we've heard you. We're not going to do that again."
Want me to give it a little push?
Well, to be fair, they never said they're not going to do it again, but they said they're listening to us, and they're going back to the iconic way of Halo and all that. But now they're changing other guns. They're changing the pistol. They're changing the shotgun.
Yeah, I guess there's an argument to be made for the pistol. I'm not defending it in any way, but it's kind of reminiscent to probably the one you're holding right now, the one in sort of ODST and in Halo 2. But it just looks so generic. It doesn't feel Halo-ish, does it? It's purely.
It looks
It's
It
just
looks
a
like
rip-off.
something that would be manufactured by Glock or Colt or whoever,
Yeah.
like today.
But
And
Okay,
Go
we're
on.
all set. Hit it, rookie.
well, and other things as well. Like people have been begging for Elite
Go on,
since
Cooper.
Halo 4.
Activate
As
the
soon as Halo 4 removed them, people have been asking for them back. They're still not back. As part of me has to go. Are they actually listening, or are they just claiming to be listening?
again, I think they're listening,
When did this
but
happen?
I think
They started showing up.
I'm also
before I
thinking
went
with
home.
how they're gonna
Until now to tell me that.
sort of profit off this game.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In the
I
sense
was a
that
little
obviously
busy
this game
making
has
sure
been
perfume
confirmed
over
that it's
here
going to be on
didn't
Game
take around
Pass,
and blow us
which is
all
also going
up.
to take a few
Always
sales
think
from
you
it,
were
you'd
done.
think,
You haven't changed
because
one bit.
well, people like ourselves, we love Halo, but we have Game Pass, so we're not going to outright buy this game, are they?
Yes or no
I
answer.
think they're
That's not fair.
possibly
Oh, you got
banking
that
off
right.
the weapons being a way of microtransactions.
Yeah?
Not
Well,
Yeah, there is
here I am.
Yeah.
100% guaranteed going to be
We need to
microtransactions.
move now.
And I'm not annoyed about
Too
that,
busy to
because
plan our
that's
exit?
at this point
I
a standard
stole
in
a
this
Phantom,
industry, and
yes,
other
thank
games have
I hid in
proven
the shipyards down the highway.
that microtransactions don't have to
Who's gonna
be,
have to sit on your lap?
pay to win. They
engineer.
don't have to
Where did
be
it go?
manipulative and exploitative and all that. And they don't have to take away from a game.
no.
But we still don't know how they're monetizing it yet.
Keep me covered.
We don't know if it's going to be... For all we know still, it could just be, yeah, you have to pay in order to actually even play a bloody
My
game.
advice, rookie.
See,
Which I highly doubt, obviously, but...
yeah, I could unfortunately see it going the way of weapons, because I feel like the big one that they are going to do is shaders, because they've already said, like, in terms
Yeah.
of customizing your Spartan, it's going to be down to shaders, isn't it? You're not going to have like the reach sort of customization, or well, any Halo customization where you can just change the color of your Spartan just to whatever color you really fancy. But since the weapons on Halo aren't like they're not really performance. Like, there's no difference in performance, is there, with regards to a battle rifle, like on battle rifle. Like, you can't mod it in any way. But one thing they can do is make them look different. So I could. Oh, okay. I could easily see like a Spanker rocket launcher skin for the green tube in Halo 5, but obviously the Spanker's in Halo 5. So, for example, the thing is, they're different weapons, but I guess you could potentially see, not so much the Bulldog, because as I said, they are sort of different types of shotguns, but that new shitty generic Glock. I could see something like you could get a skin for that would make it look like the CE Magnum or something, but it would still perform the same. I think it's a bit of a stretch, but I fear if they're going to expand on this game as much as they claim they're going to, like the whole 10-year plan, all that, you could see things like that, which does concern me, to be honest. It is a bit of a worry.
Yeah.
Is how are they going to monetize this game? Is it going to be through just shaders? Which I'll be
Hold on,
honest.
he's got a shield.
Oh,
I don't mean to take that.
no, sorry. I could, like, I feel like shaders it's a bit now, but they're sort of part and parcel with most games now. Like, you even see it with like
Yeah,
like
my only
Destiny now.
concern
Like,
with the shaders is if you have a particular color combo and it's locked behind a very difficult to get requirement, or just rolling the dice constantly or something like that.
yeah,
I highly doubt there's going to be my blue and gold combination that I have in reach.
yeah, well, maybe for a price type deal, yeah.
Or yeah, like I highly likely that'll be like the kind of one of the first ones they include first off, and I also highly doubt that it will be a easy thing to get.
No, well, again, it depends how they do it. If they just outright make it so that you have to buy them and you can't get them through like in-game sort of challenges or whatever, I think that would be a really interesting take. Is if you were to add challenges to that game in a similar fashion like what Reach had, and I guess to a lesser extent the Master Chief Collection, if you lock shaders behind challenges, I feel like that would be another option of adding customization. Like, and obviously you haven't got to pay for it, it just makes you play the game, which I would much prefer.
I wouldn't mind as well if it is kind of maybe say monetized in this. Not well. To be fair, the one in the battle pass that's in Master Chief Collection.
Yeah.
That's not monetized. Like you can't.
No,
as far as I'm aware, you can't
fantastic
pay for.
in that regard.
But like, I wouldn't mind if that was monetized though. I wouldn't mind if there was like a pay £2 and you get 10 passes in it or something.
I wouldn't mind now if they'd done that in the first season when it was a reach armor. I've been pissed off. I'll be honest. But since now they are literally just adding like cosmetics to like the older games, like additional armor and like gun camos and stuff like that. I can understand why they would monetize that. Like, I mean, if most other games monetize them at this stage, there isn't many where there's just a free battle pass or like a season pass or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't mind if they kind of doubled down on a system like that.
What, as in like a free sort of season pass type thing?
A free season. I don't know. My opinion clearly isn't shared with a lot of people, but I do not like the paid season pass system that much. Because if you want something, if say you want a random piece of armor or whatever that's in the middle of it, the only way you can get it is by buying the entire pass, and then you don't even get the armor straight away. You then have to wait until you get.
But you need to get to a certain
play the game
stage,
X amount of hours,
and
yeah,
oftentimes
and then
games will limit it, won't they?
Majority of them. I mean, Halo's the only one that I've seen not do this. Like Halo Master Chief Collection, you only have X amount of time to do it. There's a ghost attacking there.
I was too busy ramming this guy.
But yeah, I don't want it to then be like, oh yeah, because you didn't play in the first week of the game, you now are barred from ever
getting this,
unlocking this particular helmet or whatever that is, shade or whatever it is they do.
Bugs just killed me. He's fighting against the wall. That's killed me. There we go. But yeah, no, in terms of a season pass in how they are in video games, I do feel that Halo's is, in terms of, well, for a start, it's free, and there's no like time specific content. Yeah. It's brilliant. If they're able to do that,
you can earn.
That could be
if
amazing.
a particular season comes out and there's nothing you want in it, you don't have to spend a single credit.
No.
You can save them credits for the next season or spend them on a previous one. Probably want the gas off, don't I?
Yeah, probably get them. You can drive this one, by the way. Buck does not fancy it, mind you.
Come on, Buck.
Good job that elephant leaves life.
Heads up, rookie. The captain's in trouble.
Yeah.
He's fine.
But yeah, well,
That's what a grenade.
I think in terms of, I have faith that they will be, they will be user friendly, fairly like pro-consumer microtransaction, or as pro-consumer as a microtransaction can be.
Yeah, they're not going to be. There's not going to be any pay-to-win stuff. But again, Halo doesn't really suffer from pay-to-win weapons in the same way as like Call of Duty and things that we do that. Like, because all the weapons are a certain just of a certain ability anyway. Like, there's no sort of system that makes a certain gun better. Like, you're not going to get a better reload speed in battle rifle or whatever, are you? Or at least I really hope you're not. You're dead, aren't you?
No, I highly doubt that.
Jesus.
Can do anything like that. I've just respawned.
I see a Scorpion tank up ahead. We need the extra firepower.
Scorpion?
Nah, you take it. You're going to use your footage probably.
Actually, does Buck drive? Buck only goes in the passengers.
I'll get part
so,
of the arm.
He'll.
But no, I'm trying to think of sort of get out of the blooming passenger.
So I doubt they're going to make us pay for these DLC packs.
No,
or expansion-y
I think-
system. I highly doubt
I
that's
think
going to be
paid
paid.
DLC is almost a little bit of a thing of the past now. Well, there's not many
Yeah,
games that
is
still
it-
do it.
It's a very dated system. It's only really used now in single-player RPG type games, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even Call of Duty's ditched it now. Call of Duty does not like doing stuff for free.
No. Well, that's Activision, isn't it? That's their whole sort of issue. Like, that's why that's why the developer of this game got out of business with them, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, Bungie had enough of their shit.
Yeah. By the way, Buck absolutely refused to get on my gun. Yeah, he's just sat in the passenger again.
I mean, at least he's got a fuel rod, so he's not.
Yeah, he's not useless.
But what I'm hoping as well, and I don't know if it will be or not, is Infinite to have
Yeah, go on.
10 o'clock
sorry,
hot.
Infinite to have an actual like fairly sizable campaign. I'm not talking ridiculous, but enough to kind of, you know, enough replay value and enough content there to last a while before we start getting excited about the next update or expansion to it or something.
I think it'll be as big as Halo 5, possibly a touch big. I think it's going to be more exploration, isn't it? I think that's the main thing. It's going to be, obviously it's a more open world game. There's going to be a lot more side stuff to do. But in terms of actually a main story, I really don't know where they're going to go with the story. Like,
No.
I'm quite excited.
They haven't said much about the story besides it's
Banished.
a long time after Halo 5
Yeah.
and it's involving the Vanish.
And I
But
guess
what
it's
it's
on
exactly
Zeta, isn't
doing-
it? So that like links
Yeah.
the lore fanatics in.
Yeah, but in terms of what is the story going to be, we don't know. That's another thing that, like, I
Does
can
that-
understand why people are worried about that,
Yeah.
because Halo 5 did not have a good story.
Well, they haven't made a good story in a mainline Halo yet, have they? So obviously, all right, third time's the charm or whatever, but they've not given us anything to go off that this is going to be good in terms of a storyline.
No.
And until we
No,
see,
if anything, so far they've only really given us reason to doubt.
I mean, they've given positives as well. I guess like, all right, it wasn't a mainline Halo. Halo Wars 2 was brilliant. The Banished and Atriox was a very good character. Atriox might
true.
be in
They
this
have-
game, but the Banished were a very cool
They
concept.
have, yeah, the most recent Halo they have done was good story-wise.
Yeah, it was simple, but it was still good.
Halo doesn't need to be complicated, to be fair. That's what the books are for.
Yeah. Well, again, that's funny you bring that up. I don't know if you've obviously I haven't read the thing. I just saw a video about it. But that latest book supposedly contains like some spoilers regarding it, or not spoilers, but like I don't really know how to word it. Like
Key bits of story.
yeah, things that have
Awesome.
happened on that location that could affect Infinite story. Basically, flood. Like there's lots of flood on Zeta Halo
Yeah.
that are supposedly a dormant on Zeta Halo currently. Which, if the game is obviously set there, you've got to feel like they're going to be involved.
We already knew that Flood was on Zeta Halo. I mean, even if you didn't know about any of the lore behind Zeta Halo, the other two Halo rings that you've been on in Halo, ignoring the one that's in Halo 4, I don't need.
Yeah.
Delta and is it Alpha Halo? Is that the first one? I don't know what the first
I don't know,
one
we'll call it that. It's the first one.
both of them are, but both of them have flood. One of them has a massive flood outbreak infestation before any of the Covenant or UNSC even turn up,
Yeah.
and the other one is caused by the Covenant. But yeah, like you go into Zeta expecting there to be some form
It's all
of
right.
floods.
Screw the alien. What about you?
It's going to be in there.
I think that might be
Yeah,
another example of where
It's a
like the
Halo.
fans have almost not caused it, because I think they were always going to set the game on a Halo ring come what may. But the fans have been dying for Flood since Halo 4, because they haven't got them. They've been starved of that whole faction.
I definitely do miss the Flood and what they kind of bring to the table with.
Let's secure that building.
To be honest, in terms of the horror aspect,
Yeah.
Halo 1 and 2 get across that terrifying, the Flood is going to devastate you kind of feeling
Area secure.
so well.
Come to us.
Yeah.
Cover
Well,
you.
they were
that
just
first
creepy.
mission.
That first mission was
That first
creepy.
mission in Halo 1, 343 Guilty Spark,
Gunning the whole damn city's on fire.
that's terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like the graphics actually help in that a little bit as well.
Yeah, I feel like the graphics help in that, but like that's terrifying. And then in Halo 2, they then ramp it up a gear, and it's a massive outbreak already, and you end up being pretty much abducted by this tentacle monster that's just made up of rotting corpses, pretty much. It's like it's all just so like terrifying and scary, and the Flood are somewhat scary in Halo 3 at times. I wouldn't say they're too bad. But, yeah.
I feel like the actual shock factor had worn off by that point. You'd had them in 2 games before.
Yeah.
You see the shit coming in. If you've played any of the Halos before, then you knew.
I
what
think
was
like
happening.
visually and like setting up or whatever. I still think Floodgate is a good kind of first Flood mission.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was the first Flood mission I ever played. Halo 3 was the first game. Seeing that, I was like, what the hell has happened? Why are these like alien zombie type things? Like, it was a nice change of pace.
But yeah, I'm curious what 343 can do, because 343 can clearly know how to do the visuals, I'd say.
Oh,
From the
absolutely.
remasters, their visual, what they've done visually with the Floods.
So they look good in the remaster.
Make
They looked good in Halo 2, Halo Wars 2, sorry. Yeah, they've definitely got them down. Like that remastered
they are in
grade
Halo
line-
Wars 2 actually.
Yeah, but like that remastered grade. Yeah, they're in the Awakening the Nightmare DLC, aren't they? But yeah,
I remember.
that cutscene with the grade line in is, I think it's probably my favourite cutscene in Halo, like currently, just because of how that remaster looks. Like the comparison of the two is incredible. So you've got to hope that at least from that sort of sense, like sort of like getting the creepy sort of vibe through, they're gonna be able to nail that again with.
I mean, what they managed. I mean, it was partly down to just the fact that it's Halo Wars, so it's easier to get across large-scale armies.
Yeah.
But 343 did do well in terms of the infection forms. In that, I remember, because there are the numbers of them.
Yeah, the sheer
Like the density, the sheer swarm and density size, and like there's so many of them. And if that was in a first-person game on the ground and they're all running at you and you're trying to hold your position and hold them back, my god, that sounds amazing. That sounds to me that sounds so good.
Well, they've sort of hinted that this one is going to be a little bit more marine-centric, haven't they? Like in terms of this game, like with how much they've been included throughout like the promo, and you've had like Broham and stuff like that. There's potential for something like that to happen.
But I feel like with the Marines as well, compared to like the Spartan Force, the Marines are that much more vulnerable. Like,
well,
as a Marine, you can understand like the terrifying aspect of the Flood more so.
I guess there really hasn't been.
Like, you've not got this protective armor on that's preventing the Flood from infecting you. You are like one single spore grabs a hold of you, you're dead.
I guess we haven't
And
really seen anything like that for, well, probably since Halo 3 in terms of the Flood actually being involved. But just in the games in general, there's never really been any sort of vulnerable characters in there. Because you've obviously got Chief and you've got Cortana. You know they're probably going to be fine.
On the highway.
But there's no stake, like in Halo 5, there's no stakes with the other Spartans. Like, they're super soldiers. They're gonna kill 90% of the things that you fight.
I'm just thinking in terms of like Halo 3 or whatever, the amount of random Marines I mean, you have like one in combat involved as well. Like, you randomly come across Marines that have been fighting the Flood.
Yeah, you just come across different
Every
squads.
single one of them is traumatized.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, in Halo CE,
Like-
like the first dude you find tries to kill you, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like after seeing the horror
And
of what they bring.
in Floodgate, you've got that one Marine who's freaking out because like they infected his squad mates and
Yeah.
started talking to him through them, and he's like holding a gun to his head. What happened in that short 10-minute time frame was enough to drive a man to suicide.
Yeah.
Like this man's been fighting the Human Covenant War for the past however long, 5 whatever years. He's been fine with that. This flood infection comes at him out of nowhere, and that's
That
scarred
breaks
him.
him.
That scarred him and terrified him that much that he feels the need to put a fucking magnum round in his head.
Yeah, there's
Like-
nothing really, obviously because they've not been involved, there's been nothing in the games that have given that sense of, I would also just offer that sense of stakes and like emotion. Like in Halo 4, or Halo 4 I suppose you could argue it because like you were sort of saving the world and all this, and like you were literally saving the Earth at the end, weren't you? But
Yeah.
again, just Halo 5 just felt empty, and obviously not having a game in so long and that being the last one, you sort of forget that Halo games used to really have a sense of scale in terms of like they used to be like armies fighting one another. I guess it's just a bit lost on it now.
Yeah, I feel like they could potentially be missing as well with Halo 5, not Halo 5, so Halo Infinite, because you know they're focusing on the Master Chief.
Yeah.
But I think they can still get across that scale
Give him some meds.
while focusing on Master Chief.
It's important.
I feel so. I mean, they've done it in previous games.
Yeah. Well, they got it across, which once again, Halo Wars is so much easier because you are controlling an army
Mickey,
and you're fighting another
Sending
army.
you a very special
But
co-pilot.
in Halo Wars 2, they got across the scale of
It won't
Atriox's
bite.
army
Unlike you, it
very
knows what to tell
well.
those cruisers
Like
to keep 'em
you
off
still
our
know
tail.
that's a large army at the
think
end of the
they're too
game,
busy
and
to care.
it's still a bad situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
They found what they're looking
even
for.
just the simple cutscene that is in Halo, towards the end of Halo Wars 2, where it pans out from Atriox stood command, like from a little temporary command
In this
post,
war,
and you
not
just
gonna
see
again.
miles and miles of tanks and scarabs and everything and infantry and all that. You still see this huge army.
Well, at the end of the day, it's a war of worlds, isn't it? Essentially, like these games are all like planets fighting one another. But you are going to have to see some sort of army at some point. Like you can't just have these two squads that dictate 90% of what happens in the game. Oh, I'm going off Halo 5 again, obviously.
Yeah. Was it? I mean, I feel like the games do kind of lack this clarity at times. I wish it got across more, but I think it's like over like 20 billion casualties were in Halo, like in the Human Covenant
Jesus.
War, and it's like that's a 20 billion. That's
Well, that's three times the planet.
the current world, 3 times the current world's population gone in a war
Insane.
that didn't last that long.
What was it, 5? Oh, I don't know. I'm so bad with the law, but I swear that it's around 2550s, isn't it? Like,
It ended in 2552.
okay.
There were battles at I think the war started in 2525.
Let's just go with that. Let's say it's quarter of a century.
So yeah, about 25 years. And it's around 25 years. That's a billion people a year, nearly.
It's mental.
Like, that is how devastating that war was. And to be honest, none of the Halo games ever get that across.
No.
And obviously, 343 era, we're not in the Human Covenant War anymore.
No, we're in the
But I
human
think
robot
getting
war
across,
now.
I think getting across the death toll, the death toll to the UNSC and like how much they have lost in this fight against the Banished and the Cortana's Guardians and all that is like it's necessary. Like it's necessary.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but I thought we were meant to get a cutscene with Johnson then.
Yeah, I thought we were.
But that was just a real abrupt end. That's rubbish.
I'm being prompted to resume cock. What the fuck?
God knows. I mean, I got the achievements come through for completing the thing on Legendary, so it's counted that it's done.
Yeah, maybe it's a single player only cutscene or something.
Is there not like an epilogue mission or something?
No, there's no epilogue. It's just the Mombasa streets.
Oh, that's rubbish. That was a rubbish way to end Halo 3 ODST. But I mean, I guess we go on Firefight now. Do you fancy a game of Firefight?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we go on Firefight. Which lobby? Ah, there we go. We do it from there. I assume crate is one we've got to do.
I'll have a look in terms of achievements because I think I've done a couple. I've got.
Well, I haven't got any of the Firefight achievements. So
oh, okay. We'll do crate then if you want.
Yeah. What we think? Normal difficulty won't be too bad.
I mean, what you got to get 200k score, so
yeah.
I guess you'd get it on normal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not too sure how to gauge score, so we'll kind of go.
Load it up on normal, see what happens.
Yeah. Worst comes to worst, we'd have to relaunch it.
Firefight was. Sorry, go on. You're gonna conclude your point.
What was my point? What was I on about?
I can't lie. I got distracted by Firefight.
But we'll go on about Firefight. I'll conclude that point maybe with a wall of text on the screen if I can be asked or something like that.
Fair enough. No, I was just gonna. I'll just want to have a little chat about Firefight because Firefight was a really weird mode to me. Like
Firefight was Halo's sort of response to the kind of that Horde era.
Yeah, well,
that you kind of came about
Gears,
in mid.
Like it was Gears Horde, wasn't it? Like the mid 2000 or like mid to late 2000s, wasn't it? Like you had World at War come out with Nazi zombies, which is still probably like the biggest one of all. Like I don't think there's many that compete with that personally. But you had that. What you had Gears Horde. I think they were the main, and Firefight.
You had like survival mode in Call of Duty as well on Modern Warfare. You had. Yeah, everything was trying to do like a PvE, like multiplayer PvE, just constant waves of enemies type mode.
I just feel like the Halo one didn't really stick the landing as much, did it? Like, there's not enough to it for me.
There's
double kill.
I've always thought this about Firefight, and that it is so close to being really good. It just needs that customizability that everything else in Halo has always kind of had.
Well, everything in Halo has had it, but I do feel like a mode like that does suit a Call of Duty better. Like, the main thing is, like, I'm just thinking, like, Call of Duty, you can really upgrade your weapons and change them, and you can, like, get perks and things like that. They are pre-existing things in Call of Duty. Like you have perks in multiplayer, like you've had, like, they able to customize your gun for years in that. But with regards to Halo, you can't really do that. Like, as we were talking about earlier, the guns in Halo have a set damage and like all this. I don't know how they would integrate an upgrade system, like, and keep it replayable.
Well, yeah, I guess in terms of like you can kind of like they did in Warzone, I guess, where you can buy like better, like the better weapon to replace your current weapon. It executed a bit better than what they've done in Warzone, but
yeah,
I think as well what Firefight would benefit greatly from is Forge integration.
I mean, being able to make your own maps would make this awesome. Like
but yeah, being able to build your own custom firefight maps. Honestly, to me that sounds amazing.
I mean, I'm
The
amazed that
idea of being able to do
isn't
that.
in the game, honestly. That seems like something that would be fairly obvious to include.
I think it's a like fairly obvious thing to include. It's also quite a difficult thing to include. I think I can.
If you could set the spawning of stuff, like you can set the spawning of stuff in custom games. Like if you could set the spawning of enemies, I don't see how it's that much harder personally. But like,
I think as issues in terms of like having AI being able to like pathfind over forge pieces and all that.
oh yeah, I suppose so.
And like this is a preset layout. They have predetermined paths that AIs can walk around.
Yeah.
But if they have, just the idea of being able to build your own, like I don't know, like fortress or something that you got to defend against waves of Covenant, and then maybe they can like push you back through it or something. And I mean, as well, just if there's no playable elites, if I could forge my own custom firefight map and basically create my own sort of scene and setting with all of that could work.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But I'm sure right now I've just been on this turret this entire game. I'm enjoying just kind of this point defense, defending
It is a
against
really,
waves of stuff.
like
It's just I can see playing this map over and over again getting boring.
yeah. Well, a horde mode type thing is really interesting. Like it's a really cool idea for
It definitely fits the Halo sandbox.
It just
There's so many brutes.
there just isn't enough to it to work, but there isn't enough in terms of customization. There's just
it needs.
there's no
more
real
customization.
replayability to this. Like, I guess other than laughing about with some mates, which honestly I would have more fun laughing about on Call of Duty, like zombies or something. That's another thing as well. They really expanded that, like compared to like Firefight or something. Like there's like full like blown missions and stuff in that now, isn't there? Like an Easter egg and things. Like there's
you've got entire like mini bosses and stuff and all that.
yeah, and I mean there is a storyline to it, but it's a little bit of a grey area, honestly. I'm nearly dead, by the way.
There is med packs in the spawn room.
Ah, okay. I'll grab one of them. So. But no, it just feels like the Galaxy's game, there's so much they could have done with it.
The thing is, as well, is that this, like, the firefight mode has never been in a Halo.
Are you good?
No, don't destroy my turret,
Oh,
you bastards. There's never been firefight. I mean, the firesight's only been in Halo 3 ODST and Halo Reach.
yeah. Granted,
Can you imagine flood firefight?
Well, I feel like that would be the perfect one to do. Like, I'm amazed that nobody has thought to do that at Bungie or 343 or whatever, because they are essentially zombies, aren't they? Like you would have that that's the whole point. They swarm, they infect, they want to consume everything. Like trying to defend yourself against that. Granted, it's been done before, like with zombies on Call of Duty and I suppose Horde mode to a lesser extent. But it just seems like they're the perfect enemy to do in a firefight, and it's just not been done yet. Again, it could be, but I don't think
I'm surprised there hasn't
Firefight will come back.
Maybe there has been, I just haven't seen it, but there's a lot of like kind of modding around Halo at the moment with MCC and all that coming to PC. And I'm surprised no one's really kind of modded the crap out of Firefight yet.
I don't think, again, it's just not as popular a game mode as what it really could be. To be fair, they did. They didn't really mod it.
It's so close to being popular, I feel. But it's just not quite there yet.
They did add customization to it in Reach, in terms of classes and stuff. Like you're able to spawn in with like
Oh yeah, you
swords
could, you
and
could like custom.
fuel rods and stuff.
Yeah, and you could customize like what enemy spawned in on each round and all that.
Yeah, which is, again is something. I remember that it was quite essential to the challenges within Reach as well, like the daily and weekly challenges, which got you playing it if you wanted to level up or whatever.
Yeah.
But besides that, I mean, I found on, I don't know if you played much of it on Reach, but the multiplayer for oh no, I'm dead. The multiplayer for Firefight was just always a bit sort of poor. Like it was just, a lot of it was just sort of camping in certain areas or like getting a power weapon off a dead enemy, and then that was it. Like there is no progression to it. Like there's no like, again, I'm going to keep referring to Call of Duty because it's the easiest comparison. Like on Zombies, you start in a room and you get points and buy things. You buy doors, you buy guns, whatever. There is just
the
none
level
of that.
evolves with you.
Yeah, there is just none of that within this game mode. It's just the same
as well,
thing from start to
with
finish.
Call of Duty, you kind of get new strategies. You get new. Okay, don't buy this door because causes issues with being attacked from this way. But we can buy this door and make it to the power room and activate the power and get access to all this new stuff.
Like replay value is trying to improve on your round and get better. Have I been stuck again? Oh no, I haven't. The only real comparison I can draw is the Vidmaster Challenge, Endure. That's the only time I think when there's been a level of strategy to how you...
is lethal.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. That's the only time I can think there's been some sort of level of strategy to how you play Firefight, and that was for, what, an achievement and for recon armor back in the day. But besides that, there has really been no reason to try and grind out one of these modes and keep playing them. Like, there just isn't.
No.
Because...
No, you never... Every Firefight session is kind of the same.
Well, also
or you
like,
might get better at the game, but...
I feel like that was another thing in Call of Duty besides this. Like, I think that if you were to do it with Flood, it's an excellent point, like what you said before, but you fight the Covenant for 95%, or, well, pretty much every mission you play on Halo, you fight the Covenant at some stage, don't you? Or an offshoot of them or whatever, like the Banished, whatever. Yeah. Same sort of enemies. You never, or you don't fight the Flood, you don't fight the Flood
Too many Fs.
that often, by comparison. It would be a very...
Oh, bloody chain reaction with grenades fucking killed me again.
It'd be a very cool game mode to just sort of spotlight that enemy. Which, again, obviously they feature in, like, sort of the majority of game. I've been stuck again.
I feel like that's another sort of... I guess Jesus Christ.
Look at how shit kicked him.
Yeah. Sort of idea they could do, maybe even as like Firefight isn't necessarily just you defending your position against one faction, but maybe halfway through, you know, another faction gets involved, or
I mean,
you know, so in terms of even if Halo Infinite doesn't have Flood, you can.
Oh my god!
These chain reactions.
Like Grunt just threw like 8 grenades.
One life left.
Oh god,
one life left. God, this is embarrassing.
Yeah. They fucking lost that then as well. But you could have kind of firefights even where other factions, or like multiple factions, get involved and everyone, like you know, you end up fighting Covenant and Banished on while trying to defend a fortress or something.
Yeah, which again,
and they end up kind of. You can almost try and like manipulate their movement so that they end up like fighting each other more than you.
Yeah, which would almost be like, it'd just be like a big battleground type thing, wouldn't it? Like that could be quite cool. Oh, well, what happened to that? You might have to cut my screen there. A grunt just flew, but it was fine. It was alive. It just pinged very high near. Oh, hello.
Oh, there's camo brutes.
Yeah, I can't remember the other way. Oh, are you dead?
Yeah, I was on the turret
No
and they just lobbed
lives
incendiary on me.
Oh, well.
Oh no.
Oh, you got a life. You're back
I-
in.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm alive. Like, we died. We
Well, that's good. Good thing I died then. This is really
You
hard.
say that I'm the one who's died more on this. I don't know if they come in here. I hope they don't.
You've got a few outside. I won't lie.
Ay, ay, ay. Those incendiary grenades, Jesus Christ.
Firefight's hard. I don't know if Firefight being that hard.
We're on normal as well. We're not even on high difficulty.
It's the skulls. The skulls do you in. That is a cool thing. We're sort of shouting Firefight quite a bit. Pros of it. I really love that the skulls are involved again, because it does add challenge to it.
Yeah, I died 7 times, you died 4. I was doing a lot worse than you.
You did get double the kills though, but you were on a turret, I suppose.
Yeah, I was just... That turret's good until they start lobbing nades and it goes bad quick.
But no, having the skulls implemented at different times, like, obviously it added to difficulty, as you've just seen, because we've just been absolutely shit on. But it did add a bit of depth to the gameplay, I suppose. It wasn't just generic, oh, you're killing a wave of grunts, wave of elites, whatever. Or brutes in this case. Also, I like the bonus rounds, which we didn't get to, but like the grunt bonus rounds are a really cool
Oh
idea.
yeah, well you just got swarms and swarms of grunts or something.
They're just quite a funny little thing that you can get on this game, well, and on Reach as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, talking about, like, kind of going back to your point earlier about how, you know, how the level evolves in, say, Call of Duty or whatever, you know, you buy doors and you choose where you want to go and all that, and you buy weapons. That could definitely be done in a map editor version. Like,
I mean, yeah.
you open and close gates, you funnel enemies through certain areas, maybe you fall back to
Set, start.
you kind of got to defend a wall. As soon as that wall breaks, you've got to fall back to a previous wall. Yeah, things like that.
Again, I suppose it's something you could potentially see. To be fair, that's the main sort of thing I wanted to talk about, is do you think we'll see this in Infinite, like this game mode? I don't know if it's been confirmed or not yet, so this
I
could
haven't
be
heard
denied.
anything about it. I doubt it, to be honest. It wasn't in 4. It wasn't really in 5.
No, I agree. I don't think we're going to see it either, personally. But I really do feel like there is real potential with it. They just need to sort of add to it. There needs to be more within the gameplay of it. Because what people just get thought for the last 20 minutes is us stand on a ridge and shoot at enemies that, granted, do get progressively harder to kill in terms of having modifiers, which makes them either tougher or throw a shit ton of grenades. But there's no actual linear progression. It's just you're on a different round every time. Like, you're not working towards anything. You're not working towards getting your gun upgraded or like opening up the map or getting a perk.
We're not like buying turrets to cover us or something.
No. But there's no way to improve the player. There's only ways of making the enemies more difficult.
These points we're earning are just a score thing. They don't earn us any.
The only thing
Weaponry
is
or
they give you an
anything like
achievement. Like, you don't get any. Yeah, there's no ranking. Granted, that was only a thing added in. Actually, no, that was added back in like Black Ops 2 for zombies. Like, there was actual progressing ranks to this Horde game mode, which again is something that just makes you replay it. It makes it more sort of enticing, which again is something that Firefight missed out on.
Yeah, they never really had much reason. You never had much reason besides external things that affected other things, like unlocking armor and reach or whatever, to play Firefight.
Yeah. To be fair, that is a good point, is that you did need to play at least some of it if you wanted OG Recon. But that got made even more irrelevant when 343 took over, because they just gave you Recon, didn't they?
Yeah.
Reinforcements.
Which, yeah, I definitely think there is potential especially with like I mean Halo 3's Forge, but I mean First Day, incredible. But
Oh, it was very good.
Halo 5's Forge, being able to pretty much build your own level from scratch,
It seems
would
as if you could.
benefit this so greatly.
Yeah, you could make
Just
some
add
cool
so
shit.
much more variety and make it just a lot less monotonous. Like this is, I'm enjoying this. Don't get me wrong, I'm
It's
enjoying.
not bad. That's the thing. That sums up the game for me. It's not bad, but I'm not thrilled to play it. Like
No,
it's not like
at no point do I really tend to go, oh, you know what I really fancy playing right now? Halo Firefight.
But you know what I do fancy? Doing a Warthog run on Halo 3 for the 100th time. I'll just go do that.
Firefight was meant to offer all this replay value, and it never really did.
No. Which again is a shame, because this most definitely had some potential. Sort of the forgotten mode of Halo.
Yeah, I definitely would like to hope that 343 will do something with it, but I highly doubt it.
No, but they haven't bothered as of yet, so it's unlikely, isn't it?
This chieftain's eager. Oh, too eager. I can't pop this chieftain's helmet off. Oh, and now he's got an immortal.
There's a lot of brutes. I didn't realise how.
Yeah, this way.
Round, isn't it? Oh my god! Oh, I've been
Yeah,
grabbed into a wall. It'd be nice to actually have the grabbing hammer a bit more prominent in the next Halo game. I mean, you've got to assume it's going to
It
be
should
in
do,
there.
isn't it? I mean, this is 343's first kind of brute Halo, isn't it? The brutes
Realistically,
literally,
yeah, they don't really feature.
the brutes haven't been in 5 or 4 or 5 at all. They're literally not even as like a one-off enemy or something.
Is there any reason behind that, like storyline-wise? I know that the war ended, but they don't just disappear off the face of the earth, do they?
No. Well, there's like once again books.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I'm gonna get grabbed.
There are brute like clans and all that fighting, but I think for the most part after the Great Schism, a lot of elites and brutes won't trust each other.
I mean,
It
that makes
doesn't
sense.
matter who you're kind of with or whatever you're doing. It's just not, you know, you tried to commit genocide to my entire race, so I don't trust you, kind of thing. I don't care if it was on orders from a higher up or whatever. You tried to kill all of my people.
Yeah. But that could offer so many cool, like, points of, well, story, really. Like, how the two races do sort of act with one another now it's all done.
Because there is, in the books, there is a brute clan that tried to have, like, peace talks with, the UNSC and, the Swords of Tang Helios, Arbiters.
Yeah, the army
Brute.
people.
They never really. I think a terrorist attack or something happened while they were trying to have peace talks, so it
right.
fell through, and they haven't. And then obviously Guardians kind of happened, so they haven't really had a chance to solidify this peace treaty. But I mean, that's one thing we've never actually done. We've never fought alongside brutes.
No.
We've never had a good brute. We've never had a friendly brute. Besides Craig.
Yeah, he's the main dude.
Yeah, like in terms of brutes, they've always been these evil kind of bad guys. That makes sense. Their kind of personality traits and their general
They're very aggressive.
theming kind of lends themselves to that. But I would like to see a friendly group. That would be an interesting.
That could offer up something really cool.
I'm not thinking a
dynamics.
main plot point, but I feel like that'd be an interesting, maybe even like subplot or something.
Well, could you like imagine like maybe like the whole point behind the banish is that they disband from the, like they say fuck you Covenant or fuck you Prophets, basically, don't they? Like we're not going to be butchered in your war.
Yeah, they
Could you imagine?
refuse to fight a war.
Could you imagine a storyline where somebody does that to Atriox? Like Atriox sort of like gets too wrapped up in this war with like the people from Halo Wars, or potentially
He's too
Chief.
hellbent, and then the more kind of peaceful. So,
Yeah.
I think it is explained, but I can't recall why Atriox is so anti-human. Because
He just hates everything.
he's anti-Covenant because
they
for obvious
people in to
reasons. Like
die.
they sent him on suicide mission after suicide mission after suicide mission, and he didn't die, but everyone else in his clan did. But yeah, they've never done a. I'm not too sure why he's angry at the UNSC or why he despises the UNSC. It's probably explained, but I can't recall off the top of my head.
I mean, within Halo Wars 2, he just wants to like harness the power of the Ark, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And I guess he has an issue with everybody stopping him, but I guess in terms of actual sheer hatred, I don't really know I can't tell you his motivations other than to win the war on the Ark and sort of gain power over it.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's just because he's anti-Covenant doesn't mean he's a good guy.
Oh no, definitely not.
Double kill.
Like he's far from a good guy. I mean, that's at no point do you sit there and go,
You don't sympathise with him. You understand
this good
him.
guy.
I understand his motivations in terms of the Covenant, but you don't ever think, oh yeah, you're a good guy. I mean, he like fucks up one of the Spartans the first time you meet him. Like you're not going to root for him.
But yeah, like I'd like to see someone who's kind of has a similar view on the Covenant, where he despises them, but is also not anti-UNSC.
No,
I feel that that'd be an interesting kind of dynamic there.
I feel like it could offer up a lot of potential because you could see, like, not only could you have something like that happen to Atriox, like one of his, like, maybe this dude on Infinite, because this dude in the trailers isn't Atriox, is it? It's another, like, brute chieftain. But
no, he seems, at the moment, he seems kind of generic, angry brute.
yeah, I think a real...
He could be developed. Don't know yet.
Maybe. Oh my god, I'm really dead. I think a real cool point for like the future going forward is you could have the Arbor interact with like a sort of friendly brute, so to speak. Like, how would that go down? Like, that could be a very... there's just so much they could do with that. Like, it could cause Arbiter to fly into a range and kill him, or like they could both sort of attempt to sort of reconcile it. I think it could just be a very cool pathway for a storyline.
Yeah, the thing is what the Banished have so many interesting characters in their lineup. Like they've got
they've got the red swordy elites, haven't they?
Yeah, I can't remember what they're called, but like, yeah, they've got the
bad African elites. Oh, Camelus.
Yeah, we've got. They've got in the DLCs for Halo Wars. There's all the different like leaders. Or there's like a Golo leader, the hunters, and there's so many different leaders which are actually quite well done. There's the kind of two brother brutes or whatever. Like there's a dumb one, and there's
a DLC, aren't they?
There's a smart one, and yeah, all of them seem really. They're not. I don't think they're as well developed as Atriox, but they're still
No,
interesting.
they're not as important to
I'd
the
still
story
like
as
to
what
see more
Atriox
of
is. Well, and again, you might do. I know I keep harking back to this point, but Infinite is meant to be a long game. It's got to have a lot of DLC if it's going to have this longevity.
But at the end of the day, it is going to end up most likely with a lot of characters.
Well, there's so many characters already in the universe.
Not in the same way that Halo 5 is, hopefully.
Oh, no.
Halo 5 is just too many characters.
No, but they still have to somewhat address those characters in a way. They can't just pretend they don't exist. Other than Warden Eternal, they can write it out, but they really need...
Well, he's not difficult to write out, is he? You just say, like, Cortana told him to go fuck himself, and now he's dead.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they do that, because we're not a big fan of him. But...
At the very least, I do not want another Warden Eternal boss fight, unless it's a boss fight where we just annihilate the living shit out.
I want to pick up a little, like, USB stick and throw it into a sun, and that can be it. That's how we kill him. We just put him in a file and we delete him. That'll do. But I don't think we'll see him. But yeah, there's so much opportunity for development of factions and characters in this game. I think we're obviously going to see one of which we haven't really spoken about too much is Brohammer. What's his deal? I mean, I'm really interested to see what he's going to have to offer.
Oh,
you
Chief on the right.
Oh, okay. I'm in the wrong. Oh,
Yeah,
bad name.
no, I am definitely... I don't think Brohammer's going to be... I don't think he's going to have much in terms of story. Like, he's going to be involved in the story a lot.
Do you think it'll be like a Johnson-esque type of thing?
Yeah, I think he's a Johnson kind of.
Like
they're a little bit
wise
for the comedic relief.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be as kind of cocky, or well, yeah, he definitely won't be as cocky as Johnson. He's shit scared in the trailers.
Yeah, that's true.
But
he definitely doesn't know what the ladies like as much.
But he's got that kind of personality there.
But a
for,
friendly personality.
Bit of comedic relief, bit of.
Well, it's a human
definitely someone you
connection.
want Chief to be friendly with and to kind of, I guess, support in a way almost.
It offers a more humane point of view, because don't get me wrong, Chief is obviously like everybody loves Chief, but we're not 7 foot walking tanks. If we were in that situation, we'd probably be scared
Chief,
like Brohammer.
Chief can, with a character like that to bounce off of, Chief can still be this super soldier tank, but then you have this other character that gets across the kind of humanity.
Yeah. The only time you ever really felt that, well, Chief obviously isn't the most emotional dude in the world. The only real game that sort of tried to go into that was 4, I suppose. Sort of like where it's dealing with his humanity. I guess 5 to a lesser extent, because he's sort of like...
5 tried to go into that, but 5 was all over the place. Oh, missed the kill. Where the fuck did that come from?
I don't know, but this is hard. If we have to do this on heroic, I'm scared. I'll be honest.
Yeah, there's a sniper. Be careful.
He's down in the little chasm somewhere. Tell you what, you might be dying a lot, but you've definitely got more points than me.
I've been on this turret though, and I had one of the drop pods had a bunch of brutes bail out of it. I managed to lob a nade and incinerate all of them.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Brohammer has definitely got a lot of potential.
Oh, absolutely.
To be honest, I think he's probably going to be what Lasky was meant to be.
Yeah, Lasky sort of flattered to deceive a bit as a character, didn't he? He had so much to give. He gave a lot in Halo 4. He was actually quite an important character.
He was quite a well done character in Halo 4. Halo 5.
He was another one. He'd been introduced, so they couldn't just ignore his existence, but they didn't really have anything for him to do. Oh my god, have fun on the turret.
Oh, yeah, I'm on critical. I need to go grab a health pack.
Right, my turn.
But, yeah, I imagine Lasky might be in this game, because they're kind of making a big deal about the Infinity getting fucked up. And he is the captain of the Infinity,
Yeah.
so you'd expect...
You expect his input on
You'd
it.
expect him... I don't know if they'd kill him off or not. You know, kind of captain goes down with his ship type thing. Are they gonna off him?
The thing is, it wouldn't have the same sort of...
I wouldn't be in
you wouldn't be
tears
devastated,
about...
no. Wouldn't have the same sort of effect that the likes of a Johnson dying or something like... Or Sergeant Forge even. Like I was pissed when they died. Like, I was annoyed that happened. Because
Stuck.
they were... I think it was because they were in games where they actually made you engage with the story and you were actually sort of like invested in the characters. I really haven't cared about Halo's story with
As
regards
well,
to
the
343.
death, like, so, say like with Forge, the death was meaningful. Like he sacrificed himself to stop the Covenant.
Yeah. I mean, Johnson died saving the universe. Like, can't really get more noble than that.
Like, if you're going to kill off a character, you can't just have him die for the sake of dying.
No. I guess they could do something cool with the Infinity if it does go down.
Yeah, there's definitely potential there. What that potential is, I don't know. I couldn't tell you how they should do it, but there's definitely ways they can do it.
I think they... I know Lasky's a good example, but I think they could kill off... That could be a way to solve the crisis with Halo 5 and all the characters. You could just kill off a lot. Like, you could kill off, like, Locke's team, maybe a couple of members of Blue Team. Like, there's ways of getting rid of them in an efficient way.
Honestly, I feel like that's the only way they could kind of redeem Locke, in a way, is have him sacrifice himself. Yeah.
Yeah, they just didn't get his character right, did they? Like,
no. Yeah, at this point, I'm sat here and I'm thinking Locke's an arsehole. I don't really like him.
yeah,
It's gonna take a lot to make me not like
I
him.
don't really care. I think that's the biggest problem, is that I don't care about Locke as a character in any way. Like,
No.
like you tend to like think that Chief and Albert are awesome. You have some sort of disdain towards the Prophets. Like you don't like the Prophets, and you want them to die, but you feel something for them. Like there's not nothing like regarding their character, at least.
Yeah. You want to know what happens to them. Locke could disappear and never come up in a Halo game again. I'd never be asking, like, oh, where's Locke? What happened to Locke?
No.
Why is Locke not in this game?
No, I wouldn't be
To be honest, thinking of 343 era characters, the characters I'm most interested in knowing what's happening to them right now is Brohammer. Because honestly, they've gotten across so much humanity, and I know I keep saying humanity in these, but that's just something that 343 have always lacked.
Yeah.
Like, gotten across all this kind of like personality, so much more in just these trailers than any of the other characters. Honestly, I'm interested in Lasky. I want to know what's going on with Lasky. Palmer, couldn't really care.
Again, that's another one I don't care. Roland. Did Roland side with Cortana at the end of Halo 5? Because I know all the AI
He
sort of
didn't.
did. He didn't, did he? Okay.
I don't think he did.
That could be a cool point.
That
story.
could be an interesting story point.
Yeah.
Roland has the potential to be likable, I feel. Because at no point did Roland feel like I disliked Roland. I just never really...
Double kill.
He never really gelled that well.
No.
He just never really... They never really had put enough effort into him to make him be a character that I go, yeah, I want to
see more of you.
interact with him.
Oh, bloody hell, these snipers.
Yeah, they're lethal, aren't they?
Yeah, it's not quite Halo 2 level.
Especially with a black eye skull now on.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that that's on. I'll be honest. Probably I've got 3 lives left.
A lot more than what we had before. I mean, we
Yeah,
were
we've been
dead at this
dead
point.
at this point. Oh, yeah. Can you try and target them chieftains with the fuel rods? Because I can't really do anything against them.
No, there's one professional one left here.
Oh, okay.
Lots of shields.
Oh, just a little...
Oh, we've been sniped from across.
Yeah. I'm going to call this like a preemptive apology. If you ever hear like moments of silence during this part of the stream, it's because we're not that great at Halo. And this
We
is
are
quite hard.
concentrating a
Like,
lot.
All these skulls on
This
this
is harder than we thought it
difficult.
would be.
Yeah, I've sort of forgot how hard Firefight, particularly on this game, is. It doesn't feel anywhere near this bad on Breach.
Oh, but stuck. Oh, I
Oh,
wasn't
you
stuck.
could.
Like, that must have gone between my legs or something there. Yeah, there's a handful of 3-for-3 characters I want to see
Yeah, there's
more of.
There's absolutely potential for some of the ones that they've created, and they seem to be making ones that are more sort of. You don't, as I said before, you don't only want a character to be likable, like Brohammer, like you instantly connect with him, like the audience instantly just connects with him. But actual like characters
Just like,
that
I'm just like thinking of I think of like when he first kind of reboots Master Chief's armor and his like the
He
excitement
celebrates.
that you see in him, like the little kind of cheery,
like, the childish joy.
Yes, I fucking done it.
Yeah.
Kind of charged joy almost in it, and it's.
But it's just
Yeah, that's new to Halo. To be fair, there's never been a character like that.
no. No, I don't suppose that has really, has there?
Well, Johnson was always kind of the badass.
He was the cool dude.
Keys was just kind of the commanding figurehead both times, both Keys.
Buck is like
Lord Hood is kind of the commanding one as well. But
Buck-
Buck's got that comedic value.
Yeah.
But he didn't have that.
Buck is the closest thing to me that I can think.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go, bonus round. But no,
Skulls
the
on shit.
3-for-3 characters certainly they've left a lot to be desired. But I feel like they are definitely moving in the right direction with the likes of Brohammer. If they can get Lasky into the game, you could really see some potential with his story. But again, you don't want them to fall into the trap they fell into where they've just introduced so many characters. It's so hard.
No, Brohammer needs to be kind of one of the few new characters.
Yeah, you want a self-contained story with not many external sort of plays.
I honestly, a maximum of one more human character, no more.
Are you counting Cortana?
Right, in terms of new characters.
Oh, okay. Because you're absolutely going to get... There is a lot of grenades flying towards me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I was getting paid a bit a minute ago.
Oh, I'm dead.
Bonus round over.
No, at least it's over. Well, we're halfway on the score.
Bonus lives. Weapon drop.
That means we've got to do this again. Damn, it does. Well, it's going to take a while. We might have to cut out the failed attempt, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking. We're talking more on that than we are now, to be honest.
I suppose. I'm trying to think what. Go on.
Yeah, I'm trying to think in terms of characters in Infinite. They need to keep it shallow. It can't be.
Yeah. I think we've covered the characters quite well, to be honest, in terms of how we feel about them. As long as they don't introduce... I don't think they can physically afford to introduce many more new ones. I don't think they physically have the space.
No. No, yeah, and I don't want them to do as well kind of what they've done with like Jewel and Dharma or whatever, where they kind of fucked up with the character, and then just end up going, okay, kill them off now, they didn't work, we don't want them.
Well, they just didn't know where to take it with them, did they? That's the thing.
It was kind of... because we're going into Infinite with a lot of loose ends, I don't want half of these loose ends to just be covered in fucking sellotape
Just
and
paper,
like, oh yeah,
paper
no, it's
over the
fine.
cracks type thing. Oh, don't worry about it. Or like a throwaway line. Like,
He's dead. He's dead now. It don't matter.
I found Holy Grail of AI, so it's fine. Don't think about it. It's something like
Yeah.
that.
Like, I want shit to be explained to me. It doesn't necessarily have to be explained to me directly, but just some form of proper explanation.
Yeah.
Not some bullshit.
I wonder what. Well, I say I wonder what elites are going to get. I know what elites we're going to get, but I mean, so
Oh,
it
the
is.
hunters come in.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of whether there'll be any enemy variations. Like, I know that we've got the Banished and the Covenant, or well, I say the Covenant.
No, up there.
Oh, you got Hunter up there.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Or not. Ow. Don't touch my ass.
Love it. But no, I'm wondering.
Yeah. I
Whether
want a
well-
lot of. I want Halo to kind of go back to having some kind of variety in enemies, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of the Reach era sort of. I honestly, for me, like just thinking in terms of like variety, in terms of like the elites and the brutes and all that. I always found it really cool, like in Halo 2, where you had all of these. You know, you had the honor guards, you had the council elites, you had. There weren't too many different
No.
varieties, but the ones that were there were like big deal kind of.
Oh, hey, I've got an incendiary mode. Sorry. I'm very happy to see that.
There's a brute by the turret.
That was.
Um,
Oh, right. There's a lot.
Like camo one. Yeah, no, I want to see kind of them unique armors and them unique armors to stand out.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's a big issue with Halo 5 is that the Forerunners were just they were all uniform. They were not.
Oh, is the tilt skull on now? It is, isn't
Yeah, it is.
it? God damn it.
There was no satisfaction really. God, it is late.
Satisfaction.
Yeah, satisfaction. There was none of that with killing the enemies in that game. Like it was all the same. It was all like aim for the head, aim for the head. There was no real
Yeah.
just variation with how you kill enemies.
I mean, I can picture like the elite generals and all that in that game, but I never felt particularly special kind of killing one of them. Like, I didn't feel like I kind of made it.
Did they
with
have
particularly special
armor
elite.
abilities in that game? But they have like the invincibility thing and stuff. I don't think they did they?
No.
Like again, that's just another thing that varies up the gameplay a bit.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, they are bringing back all these kind of gadget things.
Yeah, they are. They said, well, as you see, if you've seen the last video, they are prioritising equipment. Oh god, this Mauler sucks. Why do we want these in the game again? But yeah, I've completely lost my train of thought, I'll be honest.
Like, they're focused on the equipment, so that they have the equipment there. That they should have the equipment there in order to kind of make the characters feel unique and special and stand out in a crowd or whatever.
Well,
Like-
it's just not only in a visual sense, but in a gameplay sense. Like you do need that variety. Like,
Well, it's like, yeah, you think of a brute chieftain, you don't just think of the armor, you think of the gravity hammer swinging around.
yeah,
Whereas Halo 5, you had grunts running around with fjords, you had elites running around with fjords. It didn't matter their rank, they just kind of randomly gave it to them.
yeah.
I want to think of, I don't know, some sort of banished. I want to think of a banished chieftain and think of him being, you know, swinging around with this
Just huge
mace,
gravity hammer. or
gravity
something.
hammer, and all that, and then I don't know, maybe have like a captain one that's, I don't know, quite, I don't know, could fling grunts at you or something. I don't know, it's just an idea. Just some sort of, yeah. We need some sort of gameplay stand out with these different characters.
Yeah, which again is something that the last game really suffered from. Like, oh wow, oh I got another mind. But you had no variation in terms of how you would approach to kill enemies
God, that
in the
makes
older
me
games, if you know what I mean. So like,
No.
like in Halo 5, like you went for headshots. There was nothing else. Like you kill what were they, the soldiers, the Foreigner soldiers. You have to headshot.
Yeah, the Promethean.
Like the
Soldiers.
yeah, the knights, you had to essentially headshot, or you had to shoot a side bit and then shoot them in the head. The crawlers, headshot, like it was all the same. There was no variation. It's not like a jackal or like a hunter's the greatest example. You like have to shoot them in the back and so on.
Yeah. Well, I think even the jackal, like, I mean, yeah, they kind of done it with the knights in a way. Like you had to kind of shoot the side pods first. That was alright, but you fought the knights so rarely.
Yeah, you just fought
a knight was a
soldiers.
rare occurrence.
Well, they tried to make them the hunters of the game, didn't they?
Yeah, well, they went from in Halo 4. The knights were the elites, I guess.
Yeah.
And
well,
then in Halo 5, they went. In Halo 5, they kind of turned them into, you know, the equivalent of the tanks, the hunters, or whatever. But then the amount, I can't even think to find a number. The amount of Promethean soldiers that you fought compared to everything else.
I was trying to bait him so much. Yeah, no, you're talking about the Promethean Knights, like you fought them so rarely by comparison.
Yeah, well, I mean, so, I swear you probably fought more Promethean Knights than you did Crawlers. And it should not be that way.
No. Well, no, just for how the game wants those enemies to be. Like, it wants the Crawlers to be the simple infantry, it wants the Knights to be... Well, in Halo 4 they wanted to be your equals. They were not your equals, they were OP as shit. But that was what they were designed to be, wasn't it? They were designed to be, like, essentially the elites.
As well, though, I don't want them to just completely fundamentally rework everything again. Because that really annoyed me with Halo 5, how every Promethean weapon behaves completely differently, and the Knights behave completely differently, and the Watchers basically don't exist anymore, and they don't protect their team anymore. They're just kind of
yeah, I forgot about
there.
The Watchers. That's something to...
Yeah, alright, the Watchers were annoying in Halo 5.
They set the purpose.
I know, there were a lot of people hated the Prometheans in Halo 5 and how they worked gameplay-wise. I personally didn't mind them too much. My main issue, like the issue is though, is that they had some good things in there. I liked the kind of protective sort of unit you had to take out first and all that.
Yeah.
Just needed to be tweaked a little bit in how they executed it.
I think it was quite... I think that's a sort of saying something for Halo 4 in general. All the enemies were pretty, like, hard to kill.
Everything in Halo 4 was okay. But with some tweaking, with some reworking, with some kind of balancing, it could have performed quite nicely.
Yeah,
but instead they went, okay, people didn't
issue.
like this really intelligent AI that we done in Halo 4, so we're just going to completely scrap it. Everyone's now a dumbass. Got groups again.
Yeah.
And yeah, just kind of make everyone an every AI just kind of a generic kind of boring enemy that plays completely different to how you remember them in Halo 4.
I do think that part of the differentiation though was down to how OP shit was in Halo 4. Like Halo 4 in terms of like enemy movement and stuff was ridiculous. Like the elites were on you like fucking no one's business.
But in terms of like the Knights or whatever, the Knights could like teleport and dash, and the Knight would always, as soon as you pop his kind of shield, I guess it is, he is a shield, he would just kind of then teleport around everywhere, get his shield back, and then come attack you.
Like the melee.
That was
Go on.
that was too much. But I still think they should have the ability to teleport.
Yeah, they just.
It's
it
an
just
ability.
needed
It's an
tweaking.
ability that has been established that they can do. Just make it so that if they get low, they don't teleport, or make it like the tough luck skull.
Yeah.
They don't really tend to evade that much when you pop their shields. But if you have the tough luck skull, and then they'll evade you. That's kind of that's the point of skulls. It adds more, quite frankly, annoying difficult kills. So I'm bloody hating this tilt skull right now because it's making my chain gun useless.
It's pointless. Oh jeez. But no,
yeah,
I think
don't
that was-
remove that ability. I don't think they can teleport at all in Halo.
No, they can't.
Halo
From
5.
what I remember. Stop.
Maybe they
Okay.
teleport in, but
Yeah, they might come in but they come in as like a big group, don't they? I feel like everything teleports in, doesn't it?
yeah, they all. Well, they added like the teleporting. That's the thing though. Like, everyone got annoyed about the knights teleporting, so they just made it so the soldiers teleport instead.
Yeah, which are easily the most just generic enemy that have been in the Halo games. They're so
It's-
boring to fight, but there's no satisfaction in killing them.
In terms of just character models as well and all that, like there's nothing.
There's nothing to
It's
them.
just a man. It's just a silver man.
Yeah.
The amount of TV shows and all that you can think of, you just got a silver humanoid shaped character running around. There's so many.
And it really goes against the grain in Halo because every other enemy is so iconic in terms of its design.
Yeah.
Like I would argue even the likes of some of the other 343 ones that they've done, like the Knights particularly.
The Knights Watchers and the Crawlers are all fairly unique. The Crawlers are kind of that animal dog-like. The Watchers, I guess, kind of a hummingbird, I guess, or something like that.
Yeah, that's one of the only there's very few flying enemies, realistically. What you got the drones?
Yeah, and the only other one is the drone, but the drone's more like insectoid.
Well,
but this is
and
more,
the engineer, but the engineer's like the support unit. Isn't
yeah,
it,
that's
really?
more like a floaty thing, isn't it?
Yeah, just a floaty blob of purple.
The Watcher is unique in terms of how it flies.
Oh,
Might not be the first not Covenant, but Halo creature to fly, but it's definitely one of the more uniquely made ones.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree with you.
And then you've got
To be honest, actually, just before we wrap up, the sort of Promethean sort of chat, do you think we'll see him in Infinite?
probably.
You think? I think they're out. I really do.
I don't think 343 can let go of their creation. And to us, I kind of want to see them. To be honest, I know it's once again a lot to ask, but if we can see kind of every key faction in Infinite,
Yeah.
I don't want them to make the story too complicated with it, but kind of, how the main bad guys be the Banished, but then you kind of have that occasional little scuffle with the Covenant, or you have a little scuffle with the Prometheans and a Guardian or something. Have a scuffle with a Flood. Kind of, I'd like to see these other factions, and I think out of all of them, to be honest, I feel like besides the Banished, because we know the Banished are in there.
Yeah.
Besides the Banished, the only other one that I think we are likely to see is the Prometheans.
Really?
I yeah.
disagree. I think that besides I think that we're guaranteed to see the Flood, honestly. I just do, with where it's set and sort of how much sort of talk there's been around it. I do think that we are going to see the Flood in this game.
It's one of them things that they haven't. They have kind of been fairly quick to kind of shoot down at any outlandish ideas. Like the open world thing, they kind of shut that down. I think they kind of shut that down a little bit more even with that interview. But yeah, they have been like, they don't like toy around and be like, oh maybe we don't know. They've not said anything about the Flood.
No. No, they haven't.
They haven't gone. They haven't gone. Yeah, they're definitely in there. They haven't gone. Yeah, they're definitely not.
But if they were, they're not going to confirm it, are they?
Double kill.
No, you at least until the time isn't right to confirm the flood yet.
I don't think they will. I don't
they
think
were.
they'll confirm it until the game drops, if they are in it. Which I really think they are.
I feel like if they are going to be in it, there's going to be more kind of teasers kind of popping up. Kind of,
I really
oh
don't
look,
know if they
in the
will.
background
Oh,
of this new
yeah.
trailer, there was like a
Maybe.
little flood sack or something. Like nothing like concrete and conclusive. Like yes, there's definitely
No.
flood, but like, oh, if you translate this word that's in the background of
Yeah, like some sort of like
this cutscene or whatever, it says
Promethean
flood
language or
containment or
something.
something. Yeah. There's they're just gonna keep dropping
hints.
hints, but never saying, but never confirming.
I really don't think that they are going to be in Infinite though. Like Prometheans, I mean, going back to that. Like I can't see. I understand. Oh yeah, 343 like their thing. Like that is their creation, but it's just not been well received, has it? Like
No.
to the point of which they went back to a more familiar enemy in Halo Wars 2, which suited to a T and is now the main enemy that they're going with. I really feel that they're going to trade out the Prometheans for the Banished. I think you might see some. I think then you're more likely to see the Flood than anything else. You might see some like Covenant remnants, or at the very least you're gonna. I think you'll see the armor as well. But
I feel like in terms of the Covenant, they're going to avoid them because there's not much value in terms of gameplay from the Covenant. Like you're fighting the Covenant, you're fighting.
Yeah,
the
you're
Banished.
fighting them anyway.
They're the same.
it's just you
They're
might
the
get
same.
some different coloured
elites,
ones.
Roots,
Speaking of brutes, oh,
Rants.
gonna die.
all that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, true. I suppose they are the perfect direct replacement, aren't they? Banished to the Covenant.
Yeah, that's. Yeah,
Oh,
they're kind of that mix of what 343 seem to be going for with the old but new kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they are a perfect blend of the two.
Yeah, it's a new faction, it's a new line of enemies, but like a new with new ideals and new but they're still
2 enemies remain.
brutes, grunts, elites using plasma weapon. Like they still fight the same kind of way.
Yeah.
Round complete.
Another round done.
Lives added. Weapon drop.
We're getting there.
We are getting there. It's a bit of a slog. I'll tell you what, if we were doing this, as I said earlier, if we were doing this on heroic, this is a struggle.
Yeah, well, it's definitely. I mean, we've been doing this run. Like we done the run before as well. It's probably another 20 minutes. We've been doing this run for 46 minutes.
Yes.
Black eye on.
Can't look at the multiplier though. You should get it.
Yeah,
Like,
I wouldn't
in
be
a couple of
surprised if we
waves,
don't make
maybe-
it to the end.
Maybe 3-4 waves.
Hopefully. That's the thing. These skulls are making it difficult, but they're also
Making it
really good
rewarding.
multipliers.
Especially if you get a multi-kill.
Yeah. Oh no, that's the only issue with catch. It fucks that turret player.
Well, now the platform.
I just had a grunt fucking shove his crotch in my face.
Nice little multiplier.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I definitely think the Covenant are the least likely faction to be seen.
Oh,
And-
yeah, go on.
And then the story as well. The thing is I can't see what they're gonna do with the flood in the story.
I guess well, the flood of like I guess you could just have echoes of the first game. Like the flood were just sort of in it, weren't they? Like they were just trying to. They just do what they do. They try and infect. They try and sort of multiply. I think
The only,
similar
the only
to...
issue with that is that they end up being that they're like crucial in the kind of climax of the story.
Yeah.
Like
Well, they're gonna be introduced late into the campaign. It seems, wouldn't they?
they'll be introduced at the halfway point if they're going to be introduced to you. So it seems they always have been.
Yeah, it's not going to be like a first time fight type deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly think it'll be kind of like Halo, well, pretty much all the like Halo 1, 2, and 3 with the flood, where there's no mention of the flood at all,
And then they just
and then all of a sudden they're there and they're fucking suddenly
the biggest threat.
swarming and yeah, very quickly become a very big problem. But I don't know if they're gonna want or try and do a spin on it. I don't know. For some reason I just can't see 343. I can just see if 343 do the flood, they're gonna want to do something with them. There's gonna be something unique, something 343 about the flood.
I could just see it really echoing, as I was going to say, the Halo Wars 2 DLC. Like they're in the depths. Like they're in the depths of the arc, aren't they? They're in the depths of this Zeta Halo. They get unlocked by the Banished, or Chief maybe, or some like whatever, and then they are a huge threat to everyone. That's what I can see happen.
And that's what I know. You kind of just said it, kind of like running on the tongue, or whatever. I pray they don't make Master Chief be the reason that they're active, because Master Chief knows how bad they are. The Banished don't. The Banished have not dealt with the flood. They've heard stories of the flood, but they dealt with the flood in Halo Wars 2.
Like I say,
but that was a different like sub faction of the Banished. Like, the Banished that are on Zeta might not have been in contact, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And this,
they
don't know how bad the flood are
right now, aren't they? Like the actual characters that were in Halo 2 are stranded on the Ark.
Yeah, they're stranded on the Ark. They've lost their means of teleporting off the Ark and getting about, basically.
Yeah. Well, it's possible then. Unless they've been able to keep communication.
I can see them being oblivious, because I mean, they in the campaign, from what I remember, they know about they've heard stories about the flood, and they kind of they avoid High Charity because they're aware that there's this thing called the flood, and they kind of, oh yes, it must be quite bad. But then just one cocky brute kind of goes, nah, I'm gonna go drill into it and gather resources from it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, shit hits the fan. So, I mean, even if this side of the Banished has been in contact with Atriox, and they know about the flood and all that, you still just need one cocky brute to kind of fuck it up.
That's true.
Like, oh, everyone's chatting shit. This flood thing can't be that bad. It's just a tiny little,
like spore or whatever.
it's this tiny little spore that's the size of my fist, but I can destroy it. There's only just punch it. All of a sudden he's been infected and is then gone attacked. Yeah, and then it spreads like that.
But yeah, I do definitely feel like we will see them in the game. I don't think there's any sort of two ways about it.
Do you think we'll have a grave mine then?
I think you'll have, again, I think it'll be very similar to Halo 1 in the sense that you'll have something happen where they're trying to build one and you sort it out, or you don't sort it out potentially, and that leads into the DLC. of you then fighting this
Maybe.
new like Gravemind type thing. Oh
Like I
yeah,
I
see
want to
that.
see. I want the Gravemind to kind of, if they're going to bring the Flood back, I want the Gravemind to be back, because the Flood in Halo 1 are just an uncontrolled mess of like enemies just kind of, they see you, they run at you, they attack you, they want to kill you and infect you. Halo 2, they start being a bit more strategic. They start
Yeah, they have a bit of a
hijacking
brain,
UNSC
don't they?
ships, taking over High Charity, and all this. And then Halo 3, in Halo 2 as well. Like when on the mission, the Gravemind, you literally have a conversation with him, and he's like, "Look, we're all enemies.
But let's work together.
Let's work together, because if not, this is going to be bad for all of us here."
You see that again in Halo
And then
3.
he kind of conveniently backstabs you at the right time. Like he backstabs Master Chief once he knows, okay, the index isn't on High Charity anymore.
Yeah, let's get them type deal.
We can kill Chief now. We can attack Chief. And same in Halo 3. You have that bit where the Flood are like, yeah, let's work together, stop the rings from firing. And then as soon as you stop the rings from firing,
He's on you like a
he attacks you and causes you problems. I like that manipulative side of Flood, and I'd like to see that kind of again.
Again, it's one of them where I do agree with you, but I do think we're more likely to just see the ravenous sort of Flood you see in Combat Evolved.
The kind of feral Flood.
Unless if there is, like, again, this gets me excited thinking about it, unless there is, like, a Gravemind that has been locked away dormant on that Halo ring. Because isn't that, like, the whole story behind
Well,
it?
there could be one locked away for study. It could be maybe a fragment of the...
Two enemies remaining.
Well, each Gravemind has the consciousness of a previous Gravemind, but it could be a remnant of the Gravemind that took out the Forerunners.
Potentially.
Which I mean, I'm 90% certain.
Set complete.
I got the achievement.
Who are you?
At it.
There's basically like a civilization even more advanced than the Forerunners in the lore.
Okay.
That is the
Bonus
precursors.
round. Good luck.
Right.
The precursors were basically
All skulls on.
this great
Iron
advanced civilization, almost like gods. They're like borderline gods, and they basically held so much power, and then the Forerunners
I'm already dead. Here you go.
didn't. The Forerunners basically wanted that power for themselves,
hammer spree.
so fought a war with them and basically driven them to extinction. Like they were all going to die. So they basically, what they did, and this is the origin of Flood as well, is turn themselves basically into galactic dust. I guess it is. I'm always hazy on these details
Yeah.
because it's been a while since I've kind of gone through it. But
Bonus round.
yeah, they basically turn themselves into galactic dust, and then in
Bonus lives.
billion years or whatever, million years, however long it is, that dust would then reform and they'd come back.
Okay.
But what happened in that time between it being that dust being created is it became corrupted,
Right.
and when it tried to reform, it didn't go so well, and it formed the Flood.
Ah, so they have an actual origin,
Yeah,
which is pretty cool when you think about it. Because obviously that's something that never gets mentioned in the games, is it? Like that's a great purpose for extended lore, like like an actual book. That's the perfect topic for a book, which is non-essential but still quite cool for an avid fan.
but yeah, but like these precursors. There's one precursor that basically managed to survive,
Yeah.
but ends up being infected by the Flood,
And he makes the Grey Mind.
and So and they use him as part of the Gravemind, but the Forerunners, when trying to fight back the Floods, basically capture him and interrogate him.
Right.
But he's kind of like the original kind of you know how the Gravemind is quite cryptic in Halo 2 and 3, kind of talking in like almost Bible verses.
Yeah. This one's mind is
this guy.
Or whatever.
Yeah. This guy is kind of like that, and he basically ends up. Sometimes he helps the Forerunners, sometimes he fucks with the Forerunner. It's a very. I'm not explaining it well. I'm not doing it justice, but it's a very interesting
So it
sort
does
of
sound interesting. I'll be honest.
character, and I wouldn't. I doubt they would put it in a game, but I'd be interested to see them do that in a game and have some sort of reference to the precursor in the game.
I mean, if you're going to see a reference to it, I feel like this would be the game. If seeing as it's Zeta, Halo, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But again, it's quite a niche little thing, I suppose. For them to
The issue is as well is that 343 would like how they've dealt with mendicant bias. I feel like that's kind of the standard for characters introduced in books.
Yeah.
Mendicant bias is kind of that 343 have said he's locked to the books. You're not going to see him outside of the books, which is understandable. It's understandable. It's a bit disappointing.
Well, the thing is, if you don't
I get
read
why,
the
because
books, like, you don't really have any knowledge of him, do you?
yeah, that's the issue. If you don't read the books, you don't know anything about the character, so you have to introduce it as a new character. Then everyone who's read the books is like, well, yeah, I know all this. Why you kind of.
And then you have another
Explain this
reach
to me.
issue where people want
you
you to
end
be
up
faithful
having
to the book, and others want you to be faithful.
You got to be careful not to
game.
tread on people's toes. Which people with Infinite are going to be eager as hell to point out flaws in it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you saw that with the trailer. Like, granted, it didn't look brilliant, but everybody was just looking for a negative. Other than like
people
sort of,
will see a tiny little negative in that game,
and hone in on
and
it.
it will be torn apart.
But I feel like 343 have always been sort of subject to that because of how they acquired Halo. Like, they're not the original developer of it, are they? So like anything that they do, people are going to argue, oh, well, Bungie wouldn't have made that mistake, even though they might well have done. But they're never gonna.
Yeah, well,
people are never gonna see it.
You got that issue, like we kind of said before. If Bungie were the name behind Halo 4, like Halo 4 is exactly the same.
It wouldn't get anywhere
with
near
Bungie
the
name.
flag.
It would have had some flack for sure, but yeah, it would not have had nearly as much of a negative reaction.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do agree with you.
And then, that's always kind of something interesting I find thinking about Halo, is if Bungie did stay on, what state would it be in right now?
Yeah, I mean...
Because it's not like Bungie have gone off and then carried on perfection and made God...
all they have is Destiny.
Destiny.
Right?
They've made Destiny, and Destiny has had just as many issues as Halo.
Yeah, arguably.
And are all them issues Bungie's fault? Not
Probably
necessarily. Not really. A lot of them are kind of Activision's fault, but I can't imagine Bungie are completely
No, they're not squeaky
clean-handed.
clean. No, they've obviously had it's their game at the end of the day. They've obviously had some sort of input with how it was made, like especially regarding storyline and stuff, which was a key issue in Destiny 1.
Yeah, there's
reinforcements.
But if Bungie had stayed on Halo, I think Halo still would have gone on this downward path it has been on. But I don't think it would have been as steep of a drop.
No.
Because Halo Halo like Reach to 4 was a bit of a drop, kind of it fell off a ledge a bit there. Halo 4 to 5 was that was a shit.
That was off a cliff.
That was bad. And I think you would have had that drop that you had between Reach and 4.
Like,
But I don't.
yeah.
Like if Bungie was making it.
Yeah, regardless of that.
I don't think the drop would have been as sheer as what happened in Halo 5.
No, I sort of agree. I've never really given it a lot of thought, but yeah, you are. You'd think that would be the case, wouldn't you? Realistically.
Double kill.
I'd also imagine we'd almost be having the opposite issue with Halo, I guess, where rather than, you know, at the moment, like 343 have changed everything. There's so many things that we don't like that 343 have changed. I feel like Halo would be having the opposite issue where
It would be too repetitive.
it's too stale.
Yeah.
Halo would be going for a stale kind of, this is the same as the last few.
Mm.
Which
Reinforcements.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd prefer a more stale Halo or a too new Halo.
I think it depends on what you were given. I think if Bungie kept Halo and we were still getting similar sort of games, we would call it out for being boring, and we'd say, oh, it's stale, oh, it needs like new sort of ideas, a bit of a freshen up in terms of like story, etc. But unfortunately, it's one of the things you're never going to know.
No, that's a. That is something that I don't think we'll ever know. It's always something interesting to speculate.
Oh, definitely. But I think we could speculate on this for hours, couldn't we? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, go on.
5 enemies remaining.
But yeah, the 343 have kind of always had this uphill battle with Halo.
Oh, definitely. And unfortunately, that will probably remain the same unless they really strike gold with Infinite.
Yeah. Infinite needs to kind of be a diamond in the rough at the moment.
Yeah.
And I wish it wasn't that way, but it really does. I don't know if I can really keep on with Halo if
No,
Infinite's trash.
If this one's bad, then
Honestly, if Infinite's kind of mediocre, I'm probably done with Halo as well.
Well,
I think it needs to be.
at least newer games.
It doesn't need to be God tier for me,
It just needs to be
but it needs to be
solid.
good.
It needs to be a solid game, a solid, simple story with a decent multiplayer. No bullshit like campaign. That's the biggest.
No.
The biggest thing is the story. Like the multiplayer in Halo is always going to be sort of, well, dependent on how you like it. Whether you like the advanced movement type stuff, whether you want a more traditional game, and that again, that's something that can be debated for ages.
5 lives
But
left.
you want a simple, solid story with a small amount of characters, just not a lot of fuss, not a lot of like unexplained stuff from previous games.
Lives added.
Just something that is concrete and just that's something they can run with in the future with DLCs. Honestly, like something where they can shoot off into
So
other little
something that can be
storylines.
expanded on, but
Yeah.
not. Like, I was saying earlier, Infinite can
Round
be
start.
complex
Kills and famine. On.
after the
Tough
DLCs.
luck and catch.
It can't be complex at launch.
No, it really can't.
Someone-
because you're going to kill off such a few.
Infinite story both needs to be faithful to the Bungie era and earlier era Halos, and also
Killing spree.
needs to be open and welcoming to new players.
Well, I was going to say that's the biggest thing. It needs to be a level of simplicity and like within world story regarding it, because there's going to be so many new players picking up Infinite because of Game Pass. Like so many people that haven't played previous Halos are going to jump in and give it a look. Also, it's one of the flagships behind the Series X, isn't it? Like, it's one of the main games that are exclusive to
You
it.
say it's one of. It's at the moment it's the only
Yeah.
one.
Really.
Right now we don't know of any Microsoft exclusives coming out
No.
this year. Potentially a new Forza, but probably quite likely a new Forza.
But again, there's not really any storyline to them, is there? Let's just drive a car.
No, but Forza's a completely different genre to Halo,
Yeah.
so you can't. If you're hoping for a Microsoft FPS, well, Forza ain't gonna do that for you. Gears is a ways out from doing anything new.
I'd argue they've become more relevant than Halo, honestly.
Yeah, Gears have had their own issues. I don't think Gears is struggling as bad as Halo is right now.
No? I don't know. I've
I
never been as into Gears, obviously.
don't think Gears 5 was as hated as Halo 5.
Probably not.
And plus they haven't had the content drought that Halo's had.
No, that's very true.
Halo is kind of unique in that everyone's been waiting for this next game for a while now. But usually when a game kind of like crashes and burns, it doesn't. It then just kind of tends to disappear for a while. But Halo's been relevant, or not relevant. But if you're a Halo fan, Halo's been poking its head up, kind of over the wall
Every now and
fairly
then.
regularly.
Especially recently, since the
Well,
since
we
the
say
trailer dropped.
content drought. Yeah, it's been what 6 years since an FPS. We still had Halo Wars, and Halo Wars had DLC story. We still had stuff in that
You've had
regards.
expanded lore, haven't you? You've had books.
Yeah, yeah, you've had expanded lore, and you had Halo hasn't ceased to exist in this content drought. It's just there hasn't been a game, an FPS game, which hopefully means that this new one will have it be a breath of fresh air almost.
Well, again, that would really encapsulate what they're going for, I feel. Like, they want it to be fresh for 343 in the sense that they want it to be quite traditional and faithful to the older games. But other than that, I don't really know what else to cover this episode, Bailey. I think we've really had a good natter.
Yeah.
And we've been on this for 70 minutes, and I'm actually kind of getting bored of Firefight now.
Yeah.
But should we?
We got into the swing of it a little bit. You've got the achievement, haven't you?
I had it already. If it was just you, I was just playing
Oh, did you?
Yeah, which is
I
fine.
got it ages.
Yeah, I know. I guess
But
we'll
yeah.
leave that there then. Thank you guys very much for watching. This was a very long one, so I'd really be surprised if you watched this whole thing. One thing we might start doing, which you might be able to let us know in the comments, we're probably going to do it anyway. We're going to start clipping these and having like little offshoots of the podcast. So you can hear us talk about, I don't know, like the Promethean bit earlier, or probably the Flood bit, or something. I don't know, we talked about so much in this episode. Halo 5 counts is one big bit. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you want to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. You've been on YouTube before, you know what you're doing. And we will see you in the next one very soon.
See you guys later.